everybody, Cindy here from Cindy B's Quilt Shop here in Espanola, Ontario, Canada. Today I would like to share with you another quick and easy project, great for beginners or actually for anybody who needs a quick gift. Today we'll be making microwavable bowl buddies, also known as bowl cozies. So let's get started. One thing to remember with this project, it's really important that everything is 100% cotton. Because we're going to go into the microwave, if there's any polyester in it, it could melt and catch on fire, and we really don't want that to happen. So I use the good quality 100% quilters cottons, and I need one for the top, one for the bottom, and they're both 10.5-inch squares. I also need a 100% cotton batting. I like the Pellon Wrap-N-Zap. It's made for the microwaves, so I'm positive that there's no polyester in it and it's not going to catch on fire. Also, don't forget 100% cotton thread, not the poly cottons, because again they could melt. And one other thing when you're choosing your fabrics, make sure there's no metallic in it. I know the Christmas ones, they have such wonderful, beautiful metallic fabrics. But you can't put those in the microwave. Don't ask me how I know that. But yeah, so let's just stay away from the metallics. Alrighty, so let's start. So we're going to start with our lining. And I'm going to fold it in half because I need to make some darts so it fits our bowl. I am going to measure 3/4 of an inch in and 3 inches down my fold. And I'm going to line up both of those marks and draw my sewing line. While I'm at it, I'm going to do the other side as well. We can put a pin in here to hold it from shifting, and let's sew on these lines. So I've reduced my stitch length to 2.0, and I have a foot in here that has some kind of line in the center, so it'll help me align up my drawn line. So I would like to back stitch off the edge, stitch forward, and back stitch at the end. And I'm going to do that again on the other side. We're going to fold this in the other direction and do 2 more darts on the opposite side. And there we have our lining. Let's do the top. So the first thing I'm going to do on my top is mark some quilting lines. I like to make sure that I mark them with something that doesn't come off with heat. I love this Pounce powder. It'll stay where it's supposed to be long enough. So those are going to be our quilting lines. I am going to take my batting and I'm just going to give it a little spritz with 505 spray just to hold it in place just a bit. Not a lot. I don't want too much glue on there, but just enough to hold it in place a little bit and just help me out. And there we go. Again, we're going to sew the darts in this layer as well, marking exactly the same way. 3/4 inch in from the fold, 3 inches down, draw our line, and give it a sew. We're marking the best we can. It's not the easiest thing to mark on the batting, but it's going to be fine even if it's off just a little bit. This project has some forgiveness built in. And our last side. We're going to take just a minute. We're going to trim a few of our threads, but to reduce the bulk, we want to cut the batting out that's in this dart. So I've got a nice sharp pair of scissors here, and I'm just going to trim that out. So I am trimming just about 1/8 of an inch away from my seam, making sure I don't cut my threads, but just nice and close. I'm going to do that on all 4 sides. So make sure that you don't cut your fabric, that you get your scissors just in between that fabric and the batting. There we go. So now we're going to layer our top and our base right sides together. And we're going to do some pinning. When I pin, I make sure that my darts are going in opposite directions just to reduce some of that bulk. And I will pin both darts to keep them going in the direction that I want them to go. Line up my corner. Let's sew this together. So what I want to do is sew all the way around, but leave a spot open that I can turn this right sides out. I never leave a opening on the corners or even on the dart. It makes it a little bit more difficult, so I will leave it in that space. I don't know about you, but have you ever done this and sewed all the way around and forgot to stop and you're back to the beginning? So what I like to do, just as a reminder, is I will put double pins where I want to stop. And that's just going to remind me that that's where I'm going to stop on my way around. So I have to change my foot. I'm going to use a 1/4 inch foot. If you don't have a 1/4 inch foot, just use your regular foot that you have. Something like this, and just sew with it close to the edge. Your bowl buddy will be a little bit smaller, but nobody's going to mind. So I'm going to do a little bit of a back stitch, and I'm going to sew all the way around. When I get to the corner, you could either sew off and then turn your whole project and sew down the other side, or we can just pivot. Needle down, put your foot up, and turn your whole project and sew down the other side. So one little point that I wanted to mention today, I'm sewing with the FAF 720. When I stop with my needle down, my foot comes up a little bit so I can pivot. If your machine doesn't have that feature, not a problem. Just lift your foot, pivot, and then put your foot back down for the next side. Oh, I know this is my last side. There's my 2 pins. And I'm going to back stitch. I'm going to trim my corners and get some of that batting and some of that fabric out just so it folds a little bit easier. And I find that it's not too much of a curve there, but if you like, you can just put a little notch just to help it fold a little bit easier on those sides. And we're going to turn it right sides out. So I'm going to turn this right side out. Little trick, I like to put my thumb in the corner, grab it, pinch it, and stick it through, and it's going to pull most of my corner out for me. And this will just take a minute. If you have a whole bunch of these to do, it's a good be in front of the television project. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my purple thing, or maybe a bamboo skewer, whatever you have, something that's not too sharp, and I am just going to make sure that my seams are all rolled out and that my corner is poked out nice and sharp. All of the tools that I'm using here today can be bought at my shop. Let's give this a little press. I'm going to take my seam allowance, my 1/4 inch, and I'm going to make sure that's folded to the inside. And I am just going to press my edge, making sure that it's not rolled in one side or the other. I like rolling it in my fingers, and sometimes it works out that seam nicely. I am going to put just a couple pins here where my opening is. You can take a needle and thread and you can whip stitch this closed, but I find if I top stitch really close to the edge, I don't have to bother doing that. So let's go and stitch. So I'm going to change back to my regular foot, something where I can move my needle from side to side. So either my regular foot, or today I'm going to use my open toe applique foot, just so you can see a bit better. I am also going to take my stitch length and I'm going to increase it to 3. When I'm top stitching, I like just a little bit longer stitch. So put my foot down, because this one it's really nice. I can just guide my fabric along the inside of my toe. And I am now going to move my needle to the right till I'm about 1/8 of an inch away to the edge. Some machines you have to have your foot up to move your needle. This one I can move it down, whatever you have to do. So let's lock our stitches and off we go. Needle down, lift your foot, and continue along the other side. Because we've got a lot of thickness here, sometimes the machine wants to get stuck a little bit, so I'll just take a heavy pin, I can stick it in there, and I can slowly just give it a little help to get over the hook, or get over the bump, and down the other side. Here we are at our seam that's open, so I want to make sure that I'm going to catch all those layers. We're going to lock our stitches there. One last thing to do is we need to do the quilting. So I'm going to move my sewing machine, my needle back to the center position, and I am just going to sew on our lines. Again, locking my stitch or back stitching at the top and at the bottom. So one last thing is we're just going to trim our threads off of our corners, and we are done. So it's a wonderful little bowl cozy that we can put our soup in to warm up, put it in the microwave, bring it out, and it's not going to burn our hands. If you're stressing on a straight line and you're worried about it, great places to use one of our decorative stitches in our sewing machine, because it waves back and forth. Nobody knows that you fell off your line. So thank you for joining me today. If you like what you've seen, please subscribe to my YouTube channel. And just a sneak peek, if you like those fabrics over there that you see, they will be used in our next project. Stay tuned. Happy sewing, everyone.